Friday Facts. I filmed this video last winter in the farm fields in Delta. Can you see it's full of migratory ducks and trumpeter swans at the back there? And also the subject of this week's Friday Facts, Sandhill cranes. Today I'm going to be talking about a really beautiful bird, the Sandhill crane. Sandhill cranes are very tall wading birds with a wingspan of close to 2 meters. The nearest species to the sandhill in size and shape is the great blue heron. That's another of my favourite birds. I'll be doing a Friday Facts on herons soon. Although great blue herons and sandhill cranes are similar, the two species are easy to differentiate by head colouring and posture. They're both very beautiful, elegant birds. Sandhill cranes have a red patch of unfeathered skin on their forehead in the shape of a heart and a generally grey feathered body. During the breeding season, the cranes dab mud on their feathers and they're often stained a rusty ochre colour. Quite beautiful. I found a lot of really interesting information about them online that I didn't know, but I'm only going to share a few facts here. I'll be putting a link to the website Terrafauna in my description. Sandhill crane sightings can be reported to the website so that Miles and his team can learn more about these fascinating birds. I'm very passionate about science and wildlife and think recording and documenting sightings is really important for the future. Not only for the birds' future, but for our future generations too. It's December 17th and it's my birthday, and my family have treated me to a visit to Rifle Bird Sanctuary. They know me well. Nothing is better than a day spent with birds as a birthday present. Now watch here. The resident pair fly in and listen to their tootling, trumpeting call. Isn't it wonderful? I kind of imagined them singing me happy birthday. But in reality, they were announcing their arrival to migratory visitors. Isn't that just pure magic? Sandhill cranes have one of the longest fossil histories of any extant bird. Extant means still in existence, still living. The oldest sandhill crane fossil is 2.5 million years old, older by half than the earliest remains of most living species of birds. Primarily found from after the Pleistocene boundaries some 1.8 million years ago. Now watch as this new pair, the resident birds that flew in, chase the migratory birds away. They're quite defensive of their territory. What a beautiful noise. Now look at these feathers. Did you ever see such a beautiful bird? Just stunning. What a beautiful creature. I love these birds. Now this is filmed at George C. Rifle Migratory Bird Sanctuary in Delta. A wonderful place to visit. I'll be putting a link to their website in my description as well. Migratory birds can fly in and visit, feeding and resting in the big ponds and marshes at the sanctuary before continuing their journey along the Pacific Flyway. This area is protected. There are no cages and no hunters, and the birds are free to come and go. It's one of the most popular bird viewing destinations in British Columbia. The sandhill crane is a species of large crane of North America and the extreme northeastern Siberia. The common name of this bird refers to habitat like that of the Platte River on the edge of Nebraska's Sandhills on the American plains. This is an important stopover area for the subspecies, the lesser sandhill crane, with up to 400,000 of these birds migrating through annually. That must be quite a sight in person. I've seen videos and photos from friends there. It's just incredible. Here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, we are lucky to have a few resident pairs and, of course, some migratory visitors in the winter. In British Columbia, the cranes pass through the central interior, migrating between wintering areas in Texas and the nesting areas in the bogs and marshes of Alaska and the Yukon. Along the coast, migrant cranes pass over Vancouver Island and the Haida Gwais, and in the lower mainland we see small migrant crane flocks during the fall and winter, stopping for brief visits to the George Rifle Wild Bird Sanctuary or nearby fields of the Fraser River Delta. This is why it's such an important bird area, and why I love winters here. For the migratory birds, you never know what you might see. Both sexes look alike, with the males just being slightly larger. Sizes vary among the different subspecies, but the average height of these birds is about 1 meter, from about 80 to 136 centimeters tall. And the wingspan, as I said, can be up to 2 meters. Sandhill cranes' large wingspans make them very skilled soaring birds, similar in style to hawks and eagles. Using thermals to obtain lift, they can stay aloft for many hours, requiring only occasional flapping of the wings, thus expending little energy. Some migratory flocks contain hundreds of birds. I'd love to see that one day. Sandhill cranes are fairly social birds that live in pairs or family groups throughout the year. During migration and winter, unrelated cranes come together to form survival groups that forage and roost together. Such groups often congregate at migration and winter sites, sometimes in their thousands. Now watch this dance. It's just too funny, jumping in the air. Delightful to watch. throw the leaf into the air. Oh, gorgeous. I'm at Rifle again, and look by her feet. 2 beautiful big eggs. Aren't they just gorgeous? Sandhill cranes usually raise 1 brood a year. Here in Vancouver, laying begins in about May, with both members of the breeding pair building the nest using plant material from the surrounding area. Nest sites are usually marshes, bogs, although occasionally on dry land. Female lays 1 to 3, but usually 2 oval, dull brown eggs with reddish markings. Both parents incubate the eggs for about 30 days. The chicks are precocial. They hatch covered in down with their eyes open and are able to leave the nest within a day. The parents brood the chicks for up to 3 weeks after hatching, feeding them intensively for the first few weeks, then gradually less frequently until they reach independence about 9 to 10 months old. The chicks remain with their parents until the next clutch of eggs is laid the following year, and the young Sandhills will leave their parents, forming nomadic flocks with other juveniles and non-breeders. They remain in these flocks until they form breeding pairs themselves, between 2 and 7 years old. Sandhill cranes are mainly herbivorous, but eat various types of food depending on availability. They often feed with their bills down to the ground as they root around for seeds and other foods in shallow wetlands with vegetation or various upland habitats. Cranes readily eat cultivated foods such as corn, wheat, cottonseed and sorghum. Waste corn is useful to cranes preparing for migration, providing them with nutrients for the long journey. As a conspicuous ground-dwelling species, sandhill cranes are at risk from predators, which are probably the main non-human source of mortality. Sadly, last week the resident pair at Rifle lost their eggs to raccoon predation in the middle of the night. Mammals such as foxes, raccoons, coyotes, wolves, cougars, bobcats, lynx hunt them at any given opportunity. Corvids such as ravens and crows, gulls and smaller raptors such as hawks will feed on the young cranes and eggs. And of course eagles will take them too. Sandhill cranes defend themselves and their young from aerial predators by jumping and kicking. And actively brooding adults are more likely to act aggressively to potential predators to defend their chicks than wintering birds, which most often normally try to evade attacks on foot or in flight. And if the predator persists, the crane stabs it with its bill, which is powerful enough to pierce the skull of a small carnivore, and with quite violent kicks. Status and conservation. In the 1930s, sandhill cranes were generally extirpated east of the Mississippi River. Extirpated means to be destroyed completely, but their populations have recovered, with there being an estimated 98,000 in the region in 2018. That's a substantial increase over the previous year. Although sandhill cranes are not considered threatened as a species, the 3 southernmost subspecies are quite rare. The greater sandhill crane proper initially suffered the most. By 1940, probably fewer than 1,000 birds remained. Populations have since increased greatly again. At nearly 100,000, they are still fewer than the lesser sandhill crane. which at about 400,000 individuals continent-wide is the most plentiful crane alive today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please feel free to share it. And please consider becoming a patron. I'd really appreciate that. Link is in my description. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, be kind, please respect wildlife, and always try to put nature